Hey there. You remember how in yesterday's vlog I said that it was mid-morning? Well, I erred. It was mid-afternoon. I'll blame it on the temperature, on the heat, which we have again today. You know, technically, I suppose you'd have to say that that was today's vlog because it didn't go up until just about midnight. Our internet was out most of the afternoon yesterday and evening. But anyway, yesterday. Today, here it is, almost 2 o'clock, and 89 degrees. Heat index is 98 degrees. Expected high is 96, with the heat index expected to be 105 to 106. So, what better time to work outside than on a day like this, right? Now, I did get out early today. I wanted to do that seeding that I was talking about for the lawn. So I went and got a bale of straw, and then I spent about a half an hour going around the yard and pinning down parts of the erosion netting that were raised due to the contour of the soil in that. And then I spent the next 3.5 hours. I thought I could do it in 2 hours. In total, it was more than 4 hours. And I got done before it got to be 90 degrees, but even so, I was out here and all of that with yeah, for 4 hours. Hot. But I stayed out of the sun. I am just about out of the sun now. If I step back, I will be. Well, most of the yard, well, right behind me is in shade, and just below the deck over there, it's dappled because of the tree branches and all. The deck itself is directly in sunlight, and as the sun gets higher, more of this will be in direct sunlight. But I've been staying in the shade, which is important. You have to watch your sun exposure. I do. The last time I saw a dermatologist was just in May, just before I went to Buffalo, early May. But prior to that, it was 2 years. When I left Buffalo, I checked in with my dermatologist. I had been going every 6 months to a year. I had had 2 squamous cell carcinomas cut out, one here and one up here, about 5 years apart. And so I was varying between seeing him every 6 months to a year. And sometimes when I would see him, he would freeze spots on my face that were precancerous. And as the dermatologist told me this time here in Missouri, she says, you know, we'll remove those because they have a 90% chance of being cancerous in the next 10 years, so they freeze them. Liquid nitrogen, is that what it is? Anyway, yeah, creates a nice blister, scabs up almost right away, and after about a week there's no sign of it. And I had 2 dry spots that were in here and one a little bit up in here and a dark spot right here. Now, my dermatologist in Buffalo had been saying that these were eczema or something similar. He gave me a ointment to put on it. He said it won't cure it, but it relieves the itching. Well, it was getting worse over the past year. So I had her check those immediately, and she says, no, those are precancerous. So she froze them, and there were no signs of them anymore. So that was nice because it was getting irritating. And this spot, all but a tiny fleck of it is gone. So I'll point that out to her when I see her in October because I'm going back in 6 months. Now I have a bunch of spots right up in here, tiny ones, that are just dry spots. And she said there's just so many of them, well, we can't pinpoint every single one of them. And the way the copay works, it was like I got charged for like 2 applications, and actually there was one here, one here, and one here. And the copay on each of those was like $60 a piece. You know, so what's a bunch of spots going to be? You know. She says she has a cream that she can give me, and it's better in October than it is in Missouri. Hell, May's like summer. She said you would want to have it late in the year when it's cooler. It can be very uncomfortable, almost painful, and unsightly. It takes 2 to 3 weeks for it to take effect. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. But you know, anything to preemptive, right? But I use sunscreen. The last time I went kayaking, I forgot it, but I stayed in the shade while I was paddling. And for the most part, when I'm paddling and riding my bike, I do use sunscreen. You use sunscreen, right? Stay out of the sun. I used to soak up the sun. In fact, working out here today, I'm not directly in the sun, but hotter than hell. You know, it reminded me of the good old days. You know, pre-retirement. Yeah, the good old days. Way back when. Sometimes back in Buffalo, on an 85-degree day, I could be driving a truck that would have air conditioning that wasn't working. And the cab in these trucks, they can get 105, 110 degrees, you know, on an 85, 90-degree day. Now, by contract, the employer was required to have functional air conditioning, so a driver could ride a truck out of service. But there are only so many pieces of equipment in the fleet, and it could really screw things up, you know, so guys would bend a little bit, I mean, depending on the conditions. But then there were part-timers. They were referred in the contract as casuals, and they were trying to get hired. So if a guy's trying to get hired, what's he going to say? Is he going to put a truck out of service? No, he's going to work. You know, so yeah, right. And companies, there were companies that would take advantage of that too. So yeah, it reminded me of the good old days, except I was working and sweating my choice. Ah, these are the good old days. Well, anyway, this has been another what? Muggy, Missouri moment. Yes. Ciao, folks. All covered with straw, sweaty. I'm going to go in that shade where it's a lot more comfortable. Ciao, folks. Vlog on.